There is a very broad question. Dr. Big asked the very obvious question, how is Final Fantasy VII so far? Unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. It is a roller coaster ride in the best ways. Tears in my eyes. It is just a wonder to behold this thing that feels so personal to me be given this absurd treatment. Like, having anybody else in the world, let alone the creators, take Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge as seriously as that game takes them. Well, Wedge is a little bit silly. But it melts my heart. It is like being able to soak in those early parts of Midgar in a way that I never could have imagined. And so, yeah, I am blown away. I'm only 6 hours in. At the same time, I'm curious to see how it holds up. There are like, it's even in the first 6 hours, there are things where it's like, oh, this is more different, I think, than they were leading people to believe. And there's a lot to unpack in the Deepest Dive. We can get specific and spoil some things in that spoiler-filled discussion for the Deepest Dive of the first 6 hours at least. So I don't want to go into anything here, but there's certain things where it's like, oh, shifting this way makes this happen. Or actually, there's one lore detail that they changed. At least I think it's a change. If it's in the original, it's pretty subtle. Of like, I think that kind of weakens this aspect, but like those are pretty minor. So yeah, jaw-dropping, stunning, just incredible. At least chapter 3, then there's like an option to do some side quests, and I did those, and that was definitely the low point. And it dropped from like tears in my eyes to, well, this is fun enough, I guess, but side quests, meh. And so that's like as low as it went. And then chapter 4. Maybe chapter 4 will be divisive in the game club. We can talk about it, but I did not see it coming. It's new, and it's just like, what a thing. What a thing. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It's so stupid, but it's just like, oh my God, you guys. So yeah, I think it's incredible. There's a lot to unpack, and the Deepest Dive is going to be super fun. Alex, would you recommend playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake to someone who hasn't played the original? How accessible does it seem? I'm on the fence and can't tell if I'm super interested or if I'm being influenced by the hype. I would recommend it to someone who hasn't played the original. It obviously won't be the same, but if you're just into just production values alone, I think you should probably play this game on PlayStation 4. Obviously, it'll be great when it comes out on PC, hopefully, a year from now or whatever. But yes, it's interesting that playing through it, there's so many things like, oh, this is what they're doing here. This is what they're doing here. This is interesting. And then I zoomed out a little bit and thought, if I hadn't played the game before, I think I'd be struck by like, oh, they're planting a lot of seeds of mysteries, of like, what is this? What is this? But like, if you played that game this much and know it, then it's like, okay, well, it's interesting. They're teasing this here. But it might have a little bit of that just in the opening 6 hours that we'll talk about for the Deepest Dive is a little bit of that, a little bit of like, what is this teasing? But I think there's so many things that you'll just gloss over while you're playing but if you know the game well, it's like, oh, they're teasing this, or like, that's an interesting twist on this. So I don't think it'll be off-putting if you've never played the game before. But as long as you like action RPGs, that seems like a very important step. And there's probably still going to be moments then of like, this lore is so far up its own butt. But at least in the first 6 hours, not in a bad way, it's up its own butt in the best way, I'd say. Edgar Vasquez, do you know how everyone is coming into the Final Fantasy VII Deep Dive? Who's finished the original? Who will be the first time? This will be my first time visiting Final Fantasy VII. Oh, Edgar, that'll be super fun. Yeah, so for the Deepest Dive, not 100% locked in, but I do believe that it's going to be Kyle wanted to play it. Jeff wanted to play it. Suriel is like, I don't know if I want to be rushed through it like that. So I don't think he'll be participating in the Deepest Dive. And then it looks like if we can line up the schedule and stuff, that'll probably be Grant and Ronnie coming from the celebration of Final Fantasy VII. So I realized like, oh, this is kind of a fun thing. If it ends up happening of like, we had the celebration of Final Fantasy VII running, which was kind of with my old friends. And then, obviously the MinnMax show and cohorts and like combining these streams now for the Final Fantasy VII Deepest Dive, I think could be super fun. And so Ronnie and Grant know the game very well. Kyle has started it, the original game, but never finished it. And Jeff, I don't think has ever started it. So it's going to be a very fun mix. This was just a clip from MinnFacts, which is our weekly Q&A for supporters on Patreon. Every Monday, we stream for what we call the High Council, and we answer any question they have about the game industry, our past, MinnMax's future. And on the last Sunday of every month, we actually have a call-in version of MinnFacts. So check out patreon.com/MinnMax2Ns, and please give it a shot. Thanks so much.